Unfortunately, I again find myself feeling the need to get serious for a minute before we get into the silly business. Mass shootings in our home state of South Carolina, as well as in Indianapolis. At least 3 more police shootings of Dante Wright, 16-year-old Peyton Ham, and 13-year-old Adam Toledo. And a shooting right here in our city, killing one and injuring another. And while I'm not lumping all these incidents into the same basket, they do have some things in common. They are all merely recent examples of the types of tragedies that occur all too often in our country. They all involve firearms. They are all the cause of untold grief, and they all represent a problem or problems that need to be addressed sooner rather than later. And while we won't attempt to offer any answer on what is a lighthearted entertainment podcast, we all need to be part of the conversation and, to whatever degree we can, part of the solution. And once again, we offer our condolences to victims, families, and everyone affected, and, after a 2 regular moment of silence, we'll get the conversation started. Hello and welcome to LexiCon Reviews Falcon and Winter Soldier Episode 5, exclusively for our YouTube channel. Remember, if you like what you hear, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, as we say over on our other YouTube channel, Vidiocy. And don't forget to check out the main podcast, which drops Sundays at lexiconpodcast.wordpress.com. Of course, links down in the description. I, of course, am Maddie. Along with me, as always, is
Lexi.
Dylan.
And Falcon and Winter Soldier Episode 5 is in the books.
Yeah.
I thought this was a kind of a weird episode. It felt like the end of a movie, and then it sort of felt like the middle of a movie, and then it sort of felt like a season finale of a series, and then it again felt like the middle third of a movie, and then by the end it sort of felt like the penultimate episode of a series, which it is, at least the season of a series.
It was definitely interesting, like, vibe and pacing, kind of. It was definitely calmer than the previous episode, I would say.
Did you say calmer?
Yes, calmer. At least a good chunk of it.
There wasn't as much action.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I was on the edge of my seat for a good bit, but we got some of the kind of content that I really enjoy, of just some calm interactions between a couple characters.
They're just kind of chilling for most of the episode.
Yeah, and again, that lends to the idea I have that it felt like this episode was trying to be a bunch of different things.
Possibly.
But this, unlike previous episodes where it felt like it was a case of editing or restructuring, this sort of felt like this is what this episode was always intended to be, and it's just the way they chose to go with it.
It was very close to what they originally planned.
I'm not necessarily complaining about it,
It was different.
Another example of it feeling a little strange.
Yeah.
I feel like it's trying to be too many things at one time, maybe.
They definitely are doing quite a bit.
Yeah.
And it has a different feeling than a lot of other shows I've watched.
Yeah.
With this episode, Sam finally got the shield.
Finally.
We're not exactly sure what he's going to do with it, but we did get the training montage, so it seems like he's going to go forward with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
We also found out that Bucky knew that Cap was at least going to give Sam the shield.
Yeah, which is interesting.
His exact word was something to the effect of, well, when Steve told me what he was going to do, so we're still not 100% sure that Steve told him about his entire plan of living out his life in the past, but he at least knew more at the time than Sam did.
Yeah. We also saw Sam, before we see him with the shield and all his training, we see him take it to Isaiah Bradley. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was emotional.
Yeah, it was nice to see some more Bradley in the series. It'd be nice to see even more, maybe even get some flashbacks to his...
I'd really like that.
You know, whether it's just a part of a movie or series, or he gets his entire movie to himself, or an entire series.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll explore more of his past and his story.
I definitely want to see more of his story.
But what we got in this was well presented, to be sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely.
And we saw the just quick end to Zemo's character.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he wasn't killed, and I mean, anybody who thought Bucky was going to shoot him obviously hadn't paid attention to the numerous trailers that showed that scene where Bucky's dropping the bullets at Zemo's feet.
Yeah. See
dropping the bullets.
In Sokovia.
But as it was, he just found him at the Sokovian monument and brought the Dora Milaje there, and they took him off to the raft, and we're done with Zemo.
At least for now. I don't think we're fully done with him.
True.
He's alive. They didn't kill the enemy. He's got to come back.
True, but I don't think he's going to come back this season at the very least. And if this series does continue either as the Falcon and the Winter Soldier or as Captain America and White Wolf or whatever it morphs into, I don't know that Zemo's going to be back along for the ride here, but he's certainly still in Marvel's back pocket to be pulled out when they want to use it. But but again, I was surprised they invested so much in him for a couple of episodes, and then he made his run. It looked like, okay, now we're really going to get into Zemo. No, we're done with him.
He had to go mourn his family. Now he's off to off with the
Which I'm not.
London people.
Again, I didn't love the way Zemo was presented in this series. I thought the character was done better in Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
If I hadn't had that version of him in Civil War, I probably would have liked this character just fine.
Yeah.
So I'm not happy to see him go, and I think it was a little quick and a little, ignominious, but
Yeah.
I'm also not mourning the loss, because maybe now we can focus on the elements that I'm enjoying more in the show.
That's kind of how I feel towards the entirety of Zemo.
I thought it was interesting that Carly and the remaining Flag Smashers were sort of de-emphasized for a lot of this show.
Yeah.
A lot of this particular episode.
Yeah.
They definitely had a place, and they've definitely been put in place to be front and center of the final episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Next episode's gotta be big.
And of course, we did get to see John Walker, not on trial exactly, but
No.
facing the government over his recent actions. And unlike many people thought, he didn't. I guess he did get off with it to a degree, like he wasn't put in prison, but he was allowed to walk away from it just without his
Captain America title.
without his Captain America title, and without his military pension at all.
Yeah. But,
And Julia Louis-Dreyfus made a cameo in the series as a Contessa. I don't know if that's a character from the comics or not, but obviously she's connected to some other person or persons or organization and sort of recruiting John Walker.
definitely.
I imagine maybe she's hooked up with the Power Broker.
That's definitely my guess.
I don't think she
right
herself
maybe
would be the Power
the
Broker.
Power Book.
I don't think so, because why would they come and confront him? The Power Broker seems more like someone who's going to work through other people.
Yeah.
And I still think Sharon's the Power Broker.
Oh, yeah.
We got
This episode
We got her
even gave
one
us a
little scene
more.
where it seems like she's setting up Sam with the baddie that he fought in the first episode in the plane. He makes a return to deliver some tech to the Flag Smasher, not seemingly, I mean, we heard Sharon talking on the phone to somebody speaking in French, and then he comes up speaking French to the Flag Smasher, so it seems like it was him.
Maybe they're two different French guys.
Yeah.
Could be a red herring.
They're
I
talking.
doubt it. And I mean, it doesn't mean, even if I'm right, and I'm pretty sure I am, it doesn't mean that I'm right about her being the Power Broker, but she still seems to have her own ends, and I could still well be right about her setting up Sam, as it were, in
If
the previous
she's
episode.
not the Power Broker, I feel as though she definitely has connections to the Power Broker.
In the final episode, it's gonna be two French guys fighting.
I did think it was interesting, another review of the previous episode said that, well, Sharon can't be the Power Broker because she says the Power Broker's not happy when she's on the phone talking to Sam. Like, she couldn't be duplicitous and be making that up and just misdirecting him. Of course she could still be the Power Broker, and I still think she is.
Could be talking about herself.
I mean,
just
she doesn't have an iPhone.
Person. That's true. We saw her phone. We saw the back of it. It's not an iPhone. So there's nothing saying she's a good guy.
Or a good gal in this case.
Yeah. And then we got that scene of John Walker visiting Lamar's family.
Yeah, I actually liked that scene a lot.
Yeah.
It was a very good scene.
John Walker's obviously still got a lot of shit going on with him, but I thought there was a sweetness to that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't completely honest with Lamar's family.
Exactly.
Definitely.
But I did
When he said the person he killed was the person that killed Lamar, I mean, he could have said, I guess he could have explained that Nico was holding him back
Yeah.
to stop him from getting to Carly when she did it, but
That they were working together or something. So that's what I really didn't care for.
it's just another one of those instances where you get to see some of the layers behind John Walker. And
Yeah.
he's still totally a villain.
Oh,
and
yeah,
going to become even
definitely.
more of one, it seems like, as the story goes on. But I like the fact that, again, it's not ambiguous. We get he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Or he is transitioning into being the bad guy, however you want to look at it. But
Yeah.
it's still a layered character. There's more there than just bad for bad's sake or good for good's sake. I like the fact that there's layers to the character.
Same.
Not that he's the only
He's like
layered
an-
character. We're
he's
just
like
talking
an
about him in
Definitely.
particular.
He's like an ogre. He has less.
Lol. That's something I like in these Marvel characters and shows, though. We're getting layers.
Yes.
That's important in character.
Yes, I need a layered cake.
Oh gosh.
7 layers.
Continuing on, though.
7 secret layers.
We also got some nice. Well, it seemed like some nice bonding.
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 That's when you bond with Bucky.
Bonding with Bucky and Sam. Once Sam is. I guess he tried to give the shield to Isaiah, and Isaiah wouldn't take it, but he had his visit with Isaiah, and he's decided to come back home for a while with his sister and her kids. And let me just say the fact that he's Uncle Sam to them is absolutely perfect.
Yes.
I meant to comment on the very first episode when they first uttered that name.
Yeah. definitely.
Regardless, they get the community together to help rebuild their boat, and Bucky shows up to help, and there's some nice scenes with them.
I just want to know where Bucky came from.
But I don't.
He just shows up.
That's all he does.
Just like he did in the second episode.
He walked there, just like they walked to Madripoor, and Sam apparently walked to Baltimore, so you saw him just walking away with no vehicle in sight.
Fact.
Bucky walks away from Sam's sister's house with no vehicles in sight. Everybody, they just walk a lot.
They do. That's how they stay
That's how they stay in
fit.
shape, yeah.
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 It seemed like some nice bonding between the two of them, but then they leave on a sort of enigmatic note. Where they're like, hey, if you hear anything about Carly, let me know, and we'll be there. But not as a team. No, not as a team. Not partners. Not friends. But
Co-workers.
don't know what we are exactly. But it's just, I don't know if that's more like, hey, they were never, clearly they were adversarial when we first saw them together in Winter Soldier and even in Civil War to a degree, even though they were starting to fight on the same side then.
Yeah.
But I thought, by this point the relationship had built more to where there was a friendship there, and I guess there still could be.
I think it's built to that point. They just haven't acknowledged it.
They may
yet.
suppress it a bit, but
Exactly.
I just, if it's just a matter of, hey, this is just where the characters are right now in their relationship, that's fine. But I'm not sure I like what it portends for them and the larger Marvel universe and the statements the show is trying to make going forward. But I'll, let it play out. It is what it is. It wasn't unentertaining.
Yeah, to me,
and it wasn't terrible either on the surface. So.
Yeah, it just kind of came off as Bucky and Sam doing their we're totally friends but not acknowledging
it was cute
thing.
it was cute on the surface.
Yeah.
Let's see what it means deeper down before we give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. But it is what it is. I mean, clearly they're setting up. Clearly they want to set up. If nothing else, they want to set up now Sam is the focus.
Yeah.
And him taking the shield and starting to perhaps assume the mantle of Captain America or Captain Falcon or whatever he's gonna, whatever persona he's going to assume, but taking that role, taking the shield, and taking the responsibility and the weight of it on, with the training montage that I mentioned. I think I mentioned it, didn't I? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which again, then it's like, oh, okay, so we're in the middle of a movie now. We're at the end of it, and we're beginning this other story, and
it's like 10 different stories happening here.
But anyway, Sam's clearly set up to now be the main focus, even though it's Falcon and Winter Soldier. He was Steve's chosen successor. He was the one that was.
I think Bucky's still gonna get his.
No, I think Bucky's gonna come.
Yeah.
I think, like he said, he told him, when you find out about Carly, let me know. I'll be there. So I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I think they're setting up for Bucky to come back in. I'm just saying they were giving Sam the chance to have the spotlight.
Sam gets his moment.
Which he should have had from the beginning. I'm not saying he should. It was always the Falcon and Winter Soldier. But he was. It was supposed to be Sam who, for as much as you can, took over for Steve. So we're finally putting him in the right spot.
Yes.
Yeah. And then of course the post-credit scene, we saw John Walker building his new, I guess, U.S. agent shield.
I guess.
He doesn't want to he doesn't want to let go of being Cap, and obviously the Contessa is encouraging that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just doubling back to that scene real quick. I like that he was expressing you guys built me into this. You don't know what the pressure is like. You put me in this position. Like I don't like the idea of him passing the buck or not taking responsibility. But again, just showing how complicated things can be and how things build. I like the look behind that we're getting there.
Yeah, it was interesting the way they led into the post-credit scene, starting with the hammering sound.
Like Tony in the cave.
Yeah, but
and sort of reminiscent of Howard Stark building the original shield.
Yeah,
I don't remember how much that we saw, but I remember him with the prototypes for it and stuff. It sort of harkened back to that for me, anyway.
Yeah, personally, I saw it, and he's sitting there assembling the shield, and I'm just sitting here like, John Walker, the newest Captain America cosplayer. Or something like that.
You said the most detail oriented.
Yes.
Yes.
He
Built
did
his
put
shield.
a bit of detail into the shield. It was looking like.
And also, in this episode, Sam left his wings, which are like torn off by Walker.
Yeah, we'll get to that part in a minute. But he left.
He left his wings with what's his name? Yeah, Torres.
Who becomes the Falcon in the comics? So it's setting him up to become Falcon if Sam completely assumes the mantle of Cap, or whatever he transitions into. I don't know if he's going to say Falcon with the shield. I don't know if he's going to assume Captain America, or if it's going to be a whole new persona.
That was a nice scene, though, seeing him walk off with the shield. And
oh my God! I just thought of what if he's just Uncle Sam?
Oh God!
I'm Uncle Sam. Hi, Uncle Sam.
But that scene where the wings got ripped off, that was when Bucky and Sam get the shield back from John.
Yeah.
And it's a scene that was teased in the trailer for episode 5, where they're in like a warehouse and they're confronting him, and Walker's like, "Do you really want to do this?" And Bucky's like, "Yeah, I love that in the trailer. I was
Yeah.
looking forward to it, but I couldn't believe it basically started the episode.
It did.
Yeah.
And it was a
I
really
loved
good
it,
fight
though.
to start the episode, and there was a lot of echoes of the fight between Bucky and Cap versus Iron Man from Civil War.
Yeah.
Which, of course, was echoed in Walker's actions with the shield.
Definitely.
There's a lot of callbacks, not necessarily callbacks, but reflections or scenes that are meant to sort of mimic or call back to other things in the MCU. Besides those two, there's the scene where in Black Panther where T'Challa finally catches up with Claw, but Okoye and I can't remember what T'Challa's love interest's name was.
Oh, me neither.
Yeah, I don't know.
I haven't watched Black Panther in a while, but they're like King, the world watches, and he pulls back when everybody's getting ready to film, as opposed to Walker, who didn't pull back. And of course, that episode was called "The World Is Watching." So there's a lot of references and callbacks.
Though. I really like it. Also, but
anyway,
scene.
but I really like that fight to open. I liked the action sequences a lot last week, and I really liked that one this week. Although I thought Walker was almost a little overpowered. Like I know Sam doesn't have any super juice in him, but he's got training obviously, and he's got good tech. And Bucky should maybe not be at the level of Cap, but he should pretty much be at the level of Walker. And he's got the vibranium arm.
Yeah.
I mean, Walker has the shield. I get it.
Yeah, I
and
knew.
he's running on that rage, but rage versus righteous indignation. I don't know, but
in that scene, I knew
was still a good
everyone
scene, and when
was going to be. Sorry.
Everybody was going to be sorry. Yeah, they probably were at the end.
Everyone was going to be sorry.
Cut you off. No, I was trying to say that I knew everybody was going to be relatively okay, at least of Sam and Bucky after that. But when he just knocks Bucky back and everything, I'm just sitting like, oh.
And the part where Bucky's arm was sparking like it had not functioned, that was sort of weird.
I was thinking did he break the arm?
I guess it was just for effect because it didn't really come into play in the rest of the fight.
It didn't.
I thought Sam and Bucky were a pretty good team in that fight.
They were.
With you.
They're a good team. They just won't acknowledge it yet.
They're the best team.
They only acknowledge it when they're
best
actually
But they're
in a
pretty
fight
decent
together. But just training like that, they can't acknowledge it.
Yeah. Well, maybe they'll be brothers-in-law at some point.
Maybe. Going back to, I just said in that scene when they couldn't acknowledge it, going back to the chiller moments in Louisiana, when Bucky randomly shows up on a boat out of nowhere, he actually brought something with him for Sam, so I guess he did have a purpose for going there.
He did. He brought a case from the Wakandans.
Yes.
He brought the Wakandan version of the mysterious briefcase from Pulp Fiction.
Yep. I've never even seen Pulp Fiction.
It is interesting to theorize what might be in it. I mean, it could be... I doubt it's going to be a shield. I mean, they gave Cap a shield in Infinity War, but Sam's got a shield, and Bucky knew he had it.
Exactly.
Which, again, I hate to go back in, but that fight again, Bucky picks up the shield and he throws it down at Sam, kind of like Cap did to Tony in Civil War. So lots of callbacks, especially to Civil War.
Oh, yeah. Big movie for this, I guess.
But I think it could be... I doubt it's going to be a shield. It's some kind of thing. It's probably like new Falcon gear.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm guessing a new cap suit.
Yeah, I'm betting.
Or something similar.
Well, I don't think they're not going to do something crazy like make him the new Black Panther now that T'Challa's out of the...
That crossed my mind, but it's
because he's not
no.
Wakanda. It's not like, oh, we got a black superhero, let's just use him. I know they're not going to do that, but it could be a Black Panther style suit.
Yeah.
With the same tech.
That's what I was thinking. It could be even a new Cap inspired.
It could be well, like I say, I think it could be new Falcon gear too, and maybe he'll use it for now, but then maybe he'll pass that to Torres.
Yeah.
I mean, Torres could rejigger the suit that Sam left with him.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting from Torres.
Maybe it could even be the heart-shaped herb.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they managed to save some of it. I'm sure they're not going to just go without it for the rest of the Wakandan legacy in the MCU. So
yeah, all we know is that
doubt
it's
that
for
too,
Bucky
but who knows?
So you can get strong without the serum.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but it's going to be something. But they left that reveal for the next episode.
Yeah. Bucky also brought charm with him.
He just opens it and he's staying, and then it's done, and it's like,
that's why I referenced the briefcase in Pulp Fiction, which you get to see. But
I was on the edge of my seat. I was hoping for more, and it's like, nope, it's done. And it's like, damn you, Disney.
Show me more right now. I'm time traveling. Goodbye.
Sam was Jules from Pulp Fiction looking in the case. Although does Jules ever even look at it? He opens it.
As I stated, I've never seen Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
It's usually Vincent looking in it, but regardless. So I didn't think it was a bad episode. I thought last week's is still my favorite so far. This week's was a little uneven, but it definitely set up an interesting finale next week. I am not sure what to expect out of next week. I haven't really been sure what to expect out of the series overall. I know one thing I didn't expect with the series, even watching all the previews, was for it to be a meditation on white supremacy and privilege. But I don't have a problem with that. And in fact, I think one good thing about that is it sort of gives purpose to us, beginning with Sam giving up the shield only to get it back, which we saw he did this week. I was all prepared to feel like, well, we're just right back where we started. At the end of Endgame now, the series was kind of pointless, just like I felt at the end of WandaVision, where with whatever they accomplished narratively, I felt like could have been done in an end credit scene or 5 minutes of a 2-hour movie. But at least in this case, him giving up the shield just to get it back was sort of done in service to a larger story, into a bigger issue. So there's a little less of that feeling like, well, this was pointless and we're just right back where we started.
Yeah.
I do think they could have told that same story that they're telling with Sam keeping the shield the whole time. I mean, just because he had the shield, just because Steve anointed him as successor, doesn't mean the government wouldn't have had their own new Captain America. We still could have had John Walker with or without the shield.
Yeah.
And as far as that goes, he could have had a shield. It didn't have to be made out of vibranium. I mean, obviously the shield he's got now is not going to be. And they could have taken the opportunity to introduce like proto-adamantium, which is what the shield is made out of in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or if it was made out of vibranium and that vibranium was unscrupulously obtained from Wakanda, it would have played in the story even better. So I don't think Sam had to give up the shield to tell the story they're telling, but I understand why, and it does work in service to that. So I don't feel like, well, we got some entertaining episodes out of it and it was a fun time killer for a few weeks, but at the end, we're not really any further along than we were.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. I guess I am looking forward to next week's episode, though. I can say that much. And hopefully a season 2 or maybe a full-length movie. I know it's not on the schedule yet, but
it could be.
They're going to keep making these movies to the end of time, probably. So.
Probably.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll just be appearances in some of the other movies. I mean, I assume at some point we're going to get more team-up movies like the Avengers.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I couldn't imagine they wouldn't do that.
Well, we'll see where it goes. For now, eyes on next week. Make sure you let us know what you think about this episode and the series at large and what may come in the future in the comments below. Of course, subscribe and click the notification bell. Check us out at Vidiocy and the main podcast, which drops on Sundays. And make sure you come back next week when the conversation on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier will continue. But until then, I am and will continue to be Maddie.
Lexi.
Dylan.
And this is LexiCon concluded.
Bye.